Welcome to the ninth grade experience. I'm your host, Chris Dutchko. As a teacher of freshmen and one of our freshman mentor committee faculty advisors, I spend a lot of my school day thinking about and helping students with the successful transition from middle school to the halls of Emmaus High School. The goal of this podcast is to give you the story of the ninth grade here at Emmaus High School through the people who live it daily, the students and staff. We will attempt to touch on the real issues and stories that ninth grade students face, ranging from academics to athletics, technical school, and just trying to find your way as one person in a community of approximately 2,700 students. We will also look to speak with some of the influential staff members who play a key part in a student's ninth grade year. It is the hope that future ninth grade students and their families can use the tips and insights provided here to begin making connections to their potential new school and learn more about the day-to-day lives of the students that they will one day become and realize from day one that ninth grade counts. You can learn more about this episode and all of the episodes of the ninth grade experience by following us on Twitter at EHSFMC or at Chris Stutchko, or following the hashtag EHS9counts, or our website, sites.google.com/eastpennsd.org/ninth grade experience. Before we jump into today's topic, let's thank our sponsor for this show, the East Penn Education Foundation. This podcast has been made possible through a $1,000 grant awarded to teachers like me each year who are attempting to do unique projects in the area of science, technology, engineering, arts, and mathematics. The foundation supports programs that put learning in motion by giving students the tools they need to think actively in a complex and changing world. You can follow them on Facebook at EPSD Education Foundation, on Twitter at EPSD EdFound, or on Instagram at EPSD Ed Foundation. Now on to the show. Welcome everybody to this week's episode of the Ninth Grade Experience podcast. We are recording this on Thursday, April 9th in the afternoon here. So fresh off the announcement from Governor Wolf that schools, the building will be closed for the remainder of the school year. So it's been an interesting first week here that we're kind of doing a lot of the e-learning and the distance learning. So we invited the students to come back and give us some feedback on how their week's been. We invited the teachers of Emmaus High School too, but we're not sure if anyone's going to come yet. So they might join the chat at any point here. So we might have some people in and out. So we have 3 students that are here ready to talk. So they're just going to we'll chime in a little bit, let them introduce. And they were all people that I believe, I forget, Avery, were you on last week's episode? Were you here last week?
Nah, I wasn't here last week.
No, so we have a new person here. So that was Avery. Do you want to introduce yourself at all, Avery?
I'm a ninth grader. I don't know what to say.
All right, well, when we ask you some questions, maybe you'll get yourself involved. So this is Avery's first appearance. I believe, I forget if you submitted some written responses for us for the first couple of weeks of our shutdown that my kids read. So I'll have to remember. But our other 2 people are coronavirus podcast veterans here. So we have Josh, who was here last week. How's it going, Josh? Hello. He's soft-spoken. And then Reid, who has been a part of all of them for the last couple of weeks. He was one of our first people to chime in with all the words, with sending the answers in. And then he was on last week. So how's it going, Reid?
Good. Can't complain. Happy to be back.
Yeah, so here we are at the end of the first week of e-learning. So the first thing I wanted to do is check in with all of you to see how this transition was. So this week was the first week that we were given real assignments and having them count. Teachers were giving you feedback and getting you, up to date on your work. So you guys can just chime in here. What was the first week like here where we were kind of assigning you real work and trying to get you to get yourselves back into the swing of things here academically?
In one word, I'd have to say challenging. It was very hard to figure out everything and how everything worked, how everything was going to work. And there's still some problems that I've had to work out, but definitely different.
So we'll kind of dive into a little bit more of the challenging part and kind of what kind of things you had to solve and overcome during the course of the week as we kind of talk here. So Reid says it was challenging. How about Avery or Josh? What did you guys think of the first week?
I thought it was
mean,
pretty good, although like the internet was slow because like I think everyone was trying to just get on at the same time, made everything run slower.
So yeah, so some internet connectivity issues. So that was kind of something that was going on. How about you, Avery? I know you were trying to kind of chime in there.
yeah, I mean, it was okay, but there was like this one day the internet wasn't working, so it was like, what should I do now?
Yeah, and it's interesting, like you say that, because like if your internet doesn't work or you run out of connectivity, like what do you literally do? Like, I know at the high school, at least in the classes that I'm involved in, everything that we gave was internet based. So there was no paper copies of anything, no thing you needed to really print out. So if you didn't have the internet for a day or 2 days, you were kind of sunk. So it was kind of like one of those things where you're sharing a lot of bandwidth. So the people, for the three of you, do you have like other people in your house that are also trying to do lots of work during the course of the day? So yes. Yeah, so I know like personally we've been sharing, there's 5 people in my house and we've been rotating computers, rotating bandwidth, rotating all sorts of stuff. So it's been a challenge to kind of make that all work and kind of come through. So, Reid, you said at the beginning that it was challenging kind of figuring it all out. So did you come up with a solution for yourself throughout the week, or like what was challenging about it, and how did you kind of work for yourself to like overcome those challenges throughout the week?
I think the most challenging thing to figure out was math, because being on a computer is very hard, to me at least, to do math without writing. So I had to find a way to get around that, which I did, but it was still kind of challenging. And the Wi-Fi problem was another thing where nothing would load. So I had to go in at different times of the day to try to get things to load.
Yeah. So Josh, I saw you shaking your head there. Did you, was math one of the things that you kind of, was it an adjustment there?
It was a little tricky on the computer, but it was like only thing that was tricky doing on the computer with math. Math is usually done like on paper.
Yeah, so that's definitely a new one. That's, doing math electronically in a way that you haven't done before while also accessing the stuff is kind of difficult. So did you have to, for your math assignments, and Avery, you can chime in too, for your math assignments, did you have to like take pictures of written work that you did? So like, what did you do for math? I was talking to a couple teachers and they asked for recommendations for math, but I don't know, what did you eventually like, what did you actually have to do for your math work?
I'm going to go straight out because I really liked what my math teacher did. She actually had the worksheets as a PDF, had us download the Google Classroom app on our computers, which then allows you to use your touchscreen to draw on there,
that's a good idea, yeah.
Which is what I've been doing because I find that I'm as close as physically possible to doing it on paper.
Yeah, that's a really good idea. Avery or Josh, is that what you guys did for your math as well, or is that?
Yeah, kind of.
Except the Google Classroom app wasn't working, so our teacher told us to use another app.
What was it? Do you remember?
It's called Kami.
Yeah, that was.
K-A-M-I.
Yeah, that was one that I sat in a training for earlier in the week. I couldn't figure out how we could use it in science, but I really thought it would be useful, and it's interesting to hear that you guys are using it in math. So that's an app. That's an extension you can download. Kami, right? Is that what you said, Josh?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's something you might want to, if you're listening, if you're a student listening or a parent listening, that trying to figure out how your kid can do some math on the Chromebook if you're at the high school level. That's a great resource. Kami, to make sure you can kind of do that stuff. So like for math, did you guys have to watch like Khan Academy videos? Did your teachers make videos? Like what did that process kind of look like for math?
Sure. My teacher made some videos for us to take notes in our packet, and then she had us do some things on the Khan Academy and the quizzes, and then she had us take like a online quiz thing, I guess.
Yeah, like a diagnostic, just to see how you did.
Yeah, kind of like that.
That's cool. Yeah, it sounds like pretty straightforward stuff there, and you found that doing like watching the videos, you were able to kind of do it at your own speed, and it was kind of okay to digest and kind of go through. Yeah. So math was probably the biggest adjustment, I would assume, for the three of you guys here. What about some of your other subjects, and how was it dealing with what you had to do in those other subjects? I'm kind of really interested to hear, like, what did some of the specialists, like the specials teachers do? Like, if you had a wellness fitness or music or art, like, what did they do?
Actually, wellness fitness was something that I did want to bring up because doing that right now, that was my big question of, well, how am I going to get graded for this? It's not like they can, track if I'm doing anything. And they did, from at least my teacher, he had us write down about how many hours we got exercise that day, which is that did 2 miles of biking, and asked us how we felt before and after, and tried to get us to answer different questions that are, I want to say, gym and health related.
That makes sense. So did they tell you specific things you needed to do, or just they kind of just gave you a general guideline of get out and do stuff?
The first week they didn't say much other than just get out and try to be active, which I didn't find very hard because of how nice it's been.
Yeah. So how about you, Josh or Avery? Did either of you have wellness and fitness during this time? And like, did you guys have different stuff to do as well?
I have gym too, but that was basically the same thing. Like, we did the same stuff too. Like, we had a listening out on the Google Classroom of what we did.
Okay. So not too hard there. Did any of you, Avery, did you have wellness fitness or another special that was kind of different stuff that you had to do?
Yeah, I had gym and band.
Okay, so all right, so gym we kind of heard. Did you do something different for gym than anyone else?
No, it's kind of the same.
All right, so what did you do for band? Yeah, what did you have to do for band?
Band so far just like record yourself playing. And that's kind of like it. Sort of.
And what instrument do you play?
Saxophone.
And I assume you had that with you. It wasn't at school.
I have it with me. The teacher said like bring all the instruments home just in case you get like we can't go back to school.
So on that, so on that last Friday or the last Thursday, actually the 12th, it was you had to you took it home. So what are you using an app? Are you using some sort of thing to record yourself? Or are you just setting up the Chromebook and hitting record and going for it?
Just like set the Chromebook.
Okay. And is that something you guys had to do in music class at other times too, or is this just a new thing where you had to record yourself?
Like this is kind of just a new thing.
All right. So anybody else have a special or something that something different than what you guys normally, something different than the core classes?
Well, I want to bring up what I did for LCTI and what I found was another big struggle for me because it's more hands-on there.
Okay.
Being an auto tech, we had to do a test about an under-the-hood inspection, check the fluids, make sure nothing looks wrong, and we took a test. But I myself am more hands-on. I can read something, and I can get a feeling of what they're talking about, but I wouldn't trust myself to just go out and do it then.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's really interesting, like with that adjustment. I think you're the only one in the room right now that's in LCTI. So it kind of it's about like talking about your own personal thing. But again, I think we talked about this last week that a lot of kids go to LCTI because they like that hands-on approach and they like the hands-on stuff. Well, in this scenario, unless you have like cars at your house or something that you can like literally work on yourself, you're not really getting that that interaction with the actual stuff.
Yeah,
so
I don't see anybody of my family being too happy if I went out and just took their car apart and put it back together and it didn't work.
Yeah, so what did you do, like for this like on the LCTI like thing? Did they like have like a scenario or a video or something you had to like watch? Like what was it that you had to do?
We had to watch a video which explained the under the hood inspection and that kind of stuff. Then we moved on to a sheet that we had to look at and fill out, which was just, just more typing. Then we took a test, which was a lot of asking, like, if somebody would say this and another person would say this, who is correct?
Interesting. So it was it's at least it's keeping you kind of practical about the stuff that's going on, and and kind of keeping your skills kind of sharp, even though it's not necessarily exactly the way that you would have approached it normally, but at least you're still engaging in the material and kind of doing that kind of stuff as well. So Josh or Avery, what else was there? Other stuff during the week that you guys had challenges with, or how did you kind of get yourselves on track to like get back into the flow of work and kind of establishing a routine for yourself? I know we talked about some internet connectivity issues, and that kind of knocks you out of the routine there, but what were some of the things that maybe you guys did during the week that kind of kept you on track to kind of get everything done?
I guess like when the work, like I started to like work, kind of like it's kind of hard to like not stay up too late, so like kind of like miss stuff that was important.
So you actually got yourself back into almost like a school-like routine where you were not staying up all hours of the night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've been using my my phone as my alarm clock to make sure that I get up in time for any Google Meet, because I like to try to be there because I know I'll somehow have questions.
Yeah, and it was today I did I think most of you checked in during Wednesday's session. I did a whole nother round of Google Meets today, and I had one student all day. So I don't know if by Thursday everyone's Google Meeted out, or if they just didn't need the extra support. But decent showing on Wednesday, and then today was just kind of like I did a lot of sitting around and waiting for people, and then nobody showed up. So, the Google Meets are important. We're kind of keeping a track on who's there. It's not mandatory, but we're just kind of reaching out to see who's there and kind of make sure you use in those times to kind of get information and get answers to questions that you guys are looking for, and answers that you might be getting. So as we kind of move forward here, we'll kind of keep this one a little bit shorter than normal. And then if we have any questions or comments about, the announcement here that we made earlier that we're not going back to the actual physical building this year, but what have you kind of developed or learned from this week that you're going to carry with you as you kind of go forward, now that we are going to be doing this model of learning for the remainder of this school year? It may look different in some way, but it's basically going to be an online delivery model. Like, what did you kind of learn this week that's going to kind of keep you, that you'll be able to use? Or is there something you did this week that's like, nah, I can't do that again?
Well, if there's one thing that I'm going to put out, which is I find very odd of me because I try to be as independent as possible, I've become a lot more dependent on my teachers and emailing them any questions to try to solve the problems that I've been having. And I think anybody that has a problem should go to and email their teacher or join one of their Google Meets. I find that the easiest.
Yeah, that's a good suggestion. There are a lot of, and I think you're not alone, Reid. I think there are a lot of kids that try to do it as much as they can on their own, and maybe this week is kind of humbling them a little bit, that it is a little bit more difficult than maybe you had anticipated. How about you, Josh or Avery? Was there something you learned this week that you think is going to keep working for you, or something that you saw that's like, nah, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do this again?
I guess like for some classes it's kind of easy because like we already use the computer.
Yeah.
Like for Spanish class, we kind of mostly use the computer. Like the only thing that we don't use it for is like for quizzes. So that's kind of like the only kind of different.
So so you feel pretty comfortable going forward, like the way that everything was set up, and you're kind of, you don't think it's going to take much to kind of get yourself and keep yourself in the routine that you're currently in?
Yeah.
How about you, Josh? Anything that you learned about this process during the week that is going to be a yes, that was a good one, or no, I'm not going to do that again?
Nothing really, but the only big changes for me for Scouts, we won't have regular meetings on Tuesdays, but our head leader, Scoutmaster, has decided to start using Zoom. So starting next Tuesday, we'll be having meetings at 7:30 for 40 minutes each week.
So yes, so you'll have to use another platform. Now in our school district, we're not using Zoom because Zoom I've been told is incompatible with your Chromebook, so I assume that you'll have to have another device that you're Zooming on. But yeah, it's been, I haven't heard anyone who really complained about Google Meets. I've been on a couple of Zoom calls, not related to like stuff exactly with our classes and things, but I think they've gone pretty well. It's a neat platform, and it kind of works exactly like this. So even your extracurricular stuff, your scouts or your things that you're doing outside of school is now going to this digital meeting space stuff. It's kind of interesting. My daughter's dance, and they've had some classes through the computer that they're kind of keeping up on. So cool. So we'll finish up here, just kind of catching up with the news of the day and kind of your quick thoughts on this. I'm sure we'll dive more into this next week or in a later episode of, so now it's 100% official that we are not going back to the school building this year. So what are your thoughts about having to complete the rest of the year online and going forward?
To put it into one word about going through the rest of the year online, I'd probably put it into upset. I really enjoyed going into, every classroom and seeing my teachers. I didn't have a teacher which I didn't dislike.
Yeah.
Every was always there, if I needed something, even if it wasn't related to that class. And, it's just the fact of not being able to see them anymore or my friends on the daily is going to be a change for me.
Yeah, Josh or Avery, do you want to chime in with anything? Like, what are your thoughts about not going back to the building for the rest of the year?
I mean, I'm kind of bummed because like I have friends there that like I don't really see outside of school, and like the only thing that like good happened is like I get to like hang out with my family a little bit more. Like last night I watched the season finale of Modern Family, but like that's.
Ooh, don't spoil it. I haven't watched it in my house yet, so I want to watch it. I don't know when my wife and I are going to watch it, but don't spoil it. Was it good?
We've got a big Easter break.
Hold on, Avery. Was the finale of Modern Family good?
Yeah, it was good.
Okay, so we'll leave it at that, and then. But yeah, so getting to spend more time with your family. Definitely the friends piece. How about you, Josh? What are your thoughts going forward with not going back to the building?
Not getting to see my friends anymore that I don't see out of school. And probably just spending more time with family, and not having the spring musical is really a big bummer. But
yeah, we had talked about that last week. You were saying that you were hoping it was going to get, postponed or whatever, and then. My wife saw this morning they canceled the Freddies. So obviously, if there's no musicals, there's no Freddies. Once they canceled the rest of the school year with kids going back, so that is a huge disappointment. You guys were less than a week away from doing that and starting it, and it's and I traced, and I might have to get in contact with those kids and see how we kind of finish the whole deal up here, but like. We went through this whole thing, charting them all throughout the semester, and then we get to the end here, and it's like nothing. So it kind of is a bummer as to, not being able to like finish the deal here with the musical. But who knows? Who knows what they'll do with it? And hopefully, who knows? I don't know what they'll do with all the props and all the sets, and maybe they'll do
do something with it because like they can't redo have the same show again. Because that's not fair to the seniors because they won't be – they're the head of the show, seniors in the show, so they can't, like, have the show again.
Yeah, it's interesting. You have these seniors that have been building for 3 years, fourth year, finally get the lead of the show, and then they don't get their moment to shine. So I don't know. Maybe they'll get creative and record something or film something, do like, I don't know. Do like a Google Meet where they do the show. I have no idea. I'm not in charge of that, but that'd be kind of an interesting kind of thing here. So I'm sure as we go forward, we'll kind of keep doing these weekly check-ins, and I'm sure, we'll get some more voices and stuff, but it is interesting, even like from the teachers that I spoke to today and saw that a lot of them are disappointed in not being able to go back just for the social reason, for like what you guys all said, like not seeing your friends, not getting a chance to check in. I know before we started recording and the two other guys were here, Reid and I were talking about like, well, what happens to all the stuff I left at LCTI? What happens to all the stuff that I have in my locker at Emmaus High School? Like no one has the answers to those questions yet. But I'm sure as we kind of go forward, maybe we'll get some answers to those and we'll be able to kind of talk about them here on the podcast a little. So anybody else have anything that they want to bring up or talk about that happened this week or kind of going forward?
Nope, but I do have to go, so I'm going to sign off. I'll see everybody next time.
All right. So at this point, we'll sign off. So thanks to Reid, thanks to Josh, and thanks to Avery for joining in. And we'll kind of keep these weekly updates going, and we'll kind of see who wants to tell their story about what's going on, and we'll go forward from there. So thanks a lot for checking in, guys.